Welcome to the 394th episode of the So Video Games podcast, where I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. If it runs on electricity and responds when you press start, discussing it here is fair game. Today is June 23rd, 2024. 23rd? 24. That felt weird. My name is Brad Galloway. I'm the one-man host of this show, and I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a website that uses the full range of numbers from 0 to 10 when it comes to scores, along with offering accessibility info on every review that we publish. Thank you for joining me today. As usual, I'll kick things off with housekeeping, where I discuss tidbits, news items, industry happenings, basically anything randomly game adjacent that caught my eye in the last 7 days. Okay, just a couple of bits and bobs here. Gosh, what do we see? Well, first, I guess I had some people asking me if I was going to do a breakdown on all of the Summer Game Fest announcements and stuff, and I think I kind of mentioned it last episode, but I'm just not, man. I used to be the guy that would read all the PR blasts, watch all the trailers, check out all the lists of releases, go to the publisher meetings. I mean, you know, before COVID and back in my other lifetime, you know, I went to E3 several times. I went to PAX many times. I did lots of conferences and all this stuff. And at this point, I feel like I'm kind of over it. And I don't mean over video games or over new games or anything like that, but like trying to keep up. I feel like I have enough on my plate as it is. As the editor of GameCritics.com, I get offers for new video games to review like literally every day. I don't think a single day goes by that I don't get at least a couple offers, and usually a lot more than a couple. I mean, it's not uncommon to get like 10, 15 different offers of games. And those are all games I can just say yes and get a code for and start playing immediately. So I turn away most of those, and I do play the ones that I can play. I give a bunch to the crew over at Game Critics. You know, we play as much as possible, but there are just so many games out right now. And those are the games that are out. And looking at these lists of stuff coming up, it's like, yeah, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of interesting stuff, but you never know when it's actually going to get here. A lot of games got pushed back to 2025. Believe it or not, I got PR for a game coming out in 2026. And I'm like, brother, I appreciate your initiative, but I don't have time for the games that came out this week. I sure don't have time for the games that are coming out in 2026. Who knows if we'll even have a country in 2026. We might be under Trump's authoritarian rule in 2026, and I may be hunting rats out in the wasteland. Who knows, man? That's too far away. So I can't be bothered about that stuff. Not to be rude or anything, but it's so far away. I don't have the bandwidth. And I kind of feel like that way about the announcements, where I watched a few. I watched the Nintendo Direct, which I'll talk about in a second. I watched the Xbox. I think I watched the PlayStation one, and it's cool. But again, it's like, okay, games are coming. They're far off. I haven't gotten any PR for any of these yet or whatever. And it's just like, when it's ready, when it's here, when it's ready to be played, I'll pay attention to it. But otherwise, I just don't have the time and energy anymore. I'm going to leave that to the younger guys, I think. And if folks want to go out and like make lists and stuff like I used to do and talk about the upcoming stuff, that's cool. But I have more than enough to deal with just with the stuff that's on my plate right now. So I apologize if you were expecting me to do like a giant, like comprehensive recap of like every show. I mean, I know we've done that in the past when Carlos was here. I think I may even done it when Corey was here, but it's just me now. And I looked at all the announcements and I just got tired, bro. I was like, I could do all this, or I could kick it with my family and then take a nap. And I think that maybe I'm choosing quality of life these days. So I know there's lots of coverage out there, and I just wanted to quickly say that's why I'm not really covering them all. And again, sorry if you were looking for this comprehensive thing. Just not in me this year. It's not going to happen this year. But there's lots of places to get that info. Anyway, I did watch some, as I said, and I will talk for a hot minute about the Nintendo Direct. Still a big fan of the Switch, still really interested in all that stuff. And the family got together on the couch. We watched the Nintendo Direct on YouTube, and it was fine. It was a good show. I heard some people being like, oh, Nintendo saved Summer Game Fest. They saved it this year. And I'm like, well, I don't think that it was really in trouble. I saw plenty of interesting looking games from the shows that I watched, and I didn't even watch all the shows. I mean, there was plenty more I could have looked at. So I don't know that it was in trouble. And honestly, I don't know that I would even say Nintendo, you can't hear it, but I'm doing the air quotes thing here, saved anything. I mean, it was fine. It was a fine Direct. I think if you watch the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I think the biggest game for me was, and I think probably for a lot of people, was Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. Big for a couple reasons. Number one, so another good quality Switch game, going back to the top-down kind of Adventure of Link 16-bit perspective. Also, this is the first game, to my knowledge, I think it's the only game where you can actually play Zelda, or she is the protagonist anyway. So that was very exciting. The Legend of Zelda, finally about Zelda. I mean, it's only been like, 40 years or some nonsense like that. So excellent. 30 years maybe, who knows. And also it seemed to be very different in the sense that, they've done a lot of Zelda games. They've done traditional, they did 3D, they've done open world, they've done the climbing stuff in Breath of the Wild, they've done trains, they've done boats, they've done time travel, they've done shrinking. I mean, dude, kudos to the team, because I would be like really hard pressed to come up with ideas as to what else we could do with Zelda, short of like dating sim, which I'm sure would be very popular. But they went with this kind of 16-bit thing where Zelda can copy thing. That's what the echoes are. The echoes are when she copies items like tables, chairs, trees, maybe pots, who knows, grass, I don't know. And then she can also copy enemies. And then once she copies these things, she can like make clones of them wherever she is. So in the trailer, I believe they showed like a ledge that she couldn't get up, and she had like, I think it was beds. She had copied a bed, and she was making a stack of beds that she could like climb up and get to the top of. And then when she was fighting some enemies, she summoned one of the moblins or whatever that she had encountered earlier in the game and summoned that guy and made a copy of that guy, and he fought for her and stuff. I mean, pretty cool what they're doing. I think that's a great idea. Very interesting. It seems to suggest that there's lots of freedom to do things in the way that you want to do them. I mean, within limits, of course. It's probably not like as open as people might wildly imagine it to be, but it seems to offer a lot of potential, which I'm very excited about. Also, just the fact that Zelda's, I mean, just the fact that you can be Zelda, that in itself is going to get me to buy this game, just as a way of saying fucking thank you, Nintendo. After all these fucking decades, after all these games, finally we get to play some Zelda. So actual Zelda in Zelda. Very excited about that. So that one looked great. That was the biggest takeaway for sure. I was also pretty excited about Mario and Luigi Brothership. The Mario and Luigi series has been going on for a while. I have played a couple of them. I don't know how many there are total, but I know there's more than a few. And I've played like the original one, and then I played like the one that was like after that. I haven't played any of the recent ones, but this one looked quite good. Like they were doing some QTE battles, kind of bouncing off each other, each one kind of influencing the other's powers. Mario buffing Luigi, Luigi buffing Mario, etc., etc. It just looked like a fun time. Just looked like, energetic and colorful, and that's something I would definitely be in the mood for right now. I gotta say though, the rest of the show, not really super impressive. There was a lot of anime flavored stuff that I just didn't really connect with. I mean, that's just me personally. I'm not trying to, shit talk those games or anything, because I don't really know much about them, but it's just not my style, not my vibe. We're not really big on those type of anime games at my house. And so all of us were kind of like, just whatever, just move on, whatever's next. They showed some farming type games again, which I'm not really super into or up for right now. I do play that genre a little bit. I really want to save most of my mojo for Graveyard Keeper, which I've started like 3 times and never finished. And I really, really, really want to finish that one because I love that game. I think it's honestly brilliant. And believe it or not, I've never played Stardew Valley because at the time I had only time to play one, and it was either between Graveyard Keeper and Stardew Valley. My wife started playing Stardew, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll play Graveyard Keeper then. And she loved Stardew. I loved Graveyard Keeper. I think we're going to switch at some point. But I think between those two farm games, I don't really have a lot of other room in my life for even more farm games. So a lot of the farm games they showed, I was like, whatever. And what else did they show? Metroid Prime 4. I mean, whatever. I mean, honestly, I don't know if this is heresy or what, but the first Metroid Prime, genuinely, I think a good game. I will say that is a good game. It was good back then. I'm sure it probably holds up. A very interesting interpretation of what is traditionally a 2D franchise into the 3D space, where it felt considered. It wasn't just a first-person shooter. I mean, you actually did like some Metroid stuff, like searching and using traversal stuff. I think there were some issues just back then because I think they were having trouble like navigating 3D shooting, and so I think maybe that wouldn't be a problem these days because we've got it figured out. But anyway, Metroid Prime, genuinely great. I still believe it's probably a great game. If I went back to it today, I probably would still enjoy it. But I did play Metroid Prime 2 and 3, and I didn't think either one of those was great. They felt very uninspired. They felt more difficult for no real reason. lots more gadgets and stuff. And, if you like them, that's great. But for me, they just it just didn't do enough new to keep my interest. I finished them both, so I can say that I played through them, but it was not a good time. I think they were kind of difficult and irritating and just kind of whatever, too long. And so Metroid Prime 4, what we saw in the Nintendo Direct, nothing there was very exciting. It looked exactly like what you would think it looked like. It looked kind of old, looked a little dated. I didn't see any fresh ideas going on there. I'm not up for just more of the same. So unless there is something very exciting that they have not revealed yet, I probably will give that one a pass. And in fact, most of the rest of the stuff they showed, I was just like, whatever, except the only other one that really kind of caught my eye was the 100-line Last Defense Academy. So from square one, I'm like, okay, this is obviously from the people who made Danganronpa because the art style is the same. I'm like, this looks exactly like their style, and lo and behold, it was. And I'm a huge fan of Danganronpa. I played 1, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. I played 2, which I thought was really boring and derivative until I got about halfway, and then I'm like, oh wait, this is absolutely brilliant. It was. And I bought 3, haven't played 3, but I mean, I'm sure it's probably equally brilliant. But the developers have struggled to get a real hit since then. They've put out at least 3 or 4 games since the last Danganronpa, and I don't think any of them have been big hits. I think they've just been kind of like iterations on the same formula, but just less inspired. Danganronpa seemed to me to be like lightning in a bottle, and to try to catch that again is not the greatest idea. But the developers have clearly gone back to the school formula, but they changed it this time. They've legitimately changed it, and instead of doing another detective murder mystery, I mean, that part might seem to be there. They also seem to be doing some kind of like tactics or like some kind of defense type combat where you're inside a school that needs to protect itself from enemies outside. And rather than just doing visual novel stuff, you actually have students and you take them out onto the map and like they fight in real time, which might be pretty cool. I would love to see the creative minds behind Danganronpa doing something genuinely different. I'm fine with the same art style. I'm fine with the same vibe, but really something genuinely different with the gameplay. And that looked like it might have some potential there. That looked like enough of a break from the formula that they might be really digging into some new ground. So other than that, I didn't think it was like all that exciting. And so I kind of scratched my head a little bit at people saying that Nintendo saved Summer Game Fest, because I just don't think it was in trouble. And I don't think really Nintendo brought that much heat other than Zelda and Mario and the one I just mentioned, 100-line. So there you go. Other announcements. Night Dive Studios, who have made a cottage industry of gussying up older titles, are going to bring another older title to modern consoles. The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is widely acknowledged as one of the finest horror / sci-fi films of all time. I agree. That is one of my favorite films. I love it. Kurt Russell's in that. And it's about people at an Arctic research station. Or was it Antarctic? Whatever. It's snowy. And they dig up something that shouldn't be dug up. And then hijinks ensue. That's a really fucking awesome movie. And they did make a game of it back in the PS2 days. I don't recall the developer, but I do remember playing it. I actually reviewed it at GameCritics.com. Unfortunately, you cannot read the review right now because... just a quick tangent. So we were at a different hosting place for our website for many years. And then we had to switch hosting because it got too expensive. Speaking of which, if you want to kick into the Patreon, I would love that. We'll get to that information in a minute. But so we had to like take all of the archive reviews that we had and move them to a new hosting place. And it was, oh my God, such an arduous process. We had literally like thousands of reviews in the archive, and all the links had to be, changed over. There was some kind of algorithm or something that Richard Nyack, I believe, who used to be on the GameCritics.com podcast and was at GameCritics for a while. He had written some kind of program that would like automatically port a lot of the stuff over, but still so much work had to be done by hand. A lot of the older links broke for some reason. It was just kind of weird. I'm not sure what happened. So unfortunately, my review of The Thing is one of the links that's broken. You can search it, and I believe you can see it, but when you click on it, it goes to the wrong review, and I just don't have the time or energy or ability to fix it right now. I guess I could. I could. I'm just being kind of lazy. Maybe I will. In fact, I should write that down. That's probably a good idea. Hold on. Okay, fine. Whatever. You guys don't realize what happened, but I just went and paused and found the review and did all the shit. Okay. Magic of podcasting. Anyway, I'll get that review up. That's fine. Might be up by the time that you hear this podcast. Who knows? Anyway, I reviewed it back in the day. And it had cool ideas because just like the movie of The Thing, the basic premise is that there's an alien there, and he or she or it or they or whatever is a mimic. It's a mimic type. And so it was able to perfectly replicate humans and dogs. And so the paranoia of the people who were surviving in The Thing was really what drove it, because you never knew who the alien was. And so that was what was carried over in the game. In the game, you play as a survivor at this Arctic research station, and then you don't know who is an alien and who is not. And the survivors that you find don't know if you're an alien or not. And so there was this trust mechanic where you had to kind of prove to the other people if you were an alien or if you were human. And it was a really cool idea, but it had a lot of problems. Honestly, I think that game was probably 10 years ahead of its time. I don't think the technology was there. I don't think the sophistication in AI in terms of like artificial NPC control was there. I don't think mechanically we were quite there. A great idea. I think I gave it like a 6 or something like that. And again, check Game Critics. I'll post a review. But I would be interested in seeing it again. And it's like, I have mixed feelings because I didn't like it back then. And I suspect that if I play the new version, I will also have the same problems now that I did back then, probably worse, because I am used to much more polished games, more advanced games. But we'll see. Night Dive is planning to do this revamp and just like give it a new coat of paint. I don't think they're really reworking any systems. I don't think they're doing any heavy lifting on fixing things. I think it's going to be just making it look a little prettier, making it run on modern consoles. So it might be an interesting oddity, especially if you're a sci-fi horror fan, if you're a fan of The Thing or of John Carpenter. It might be worth looking into. I don't know that it's going to be like a really awesome thing to play. I think maybe just more of a, oh, wow, that was a cool thing they tried 20 years ago. That's a shame it didn't work. So I don't know. We'll see, but keep an eye on it. Also, Night Dive Studios is putting out a video podcast to talk about the work they're doing on it. I haven't watched it. I was thinking about doing it, but then I just didn't. So if you are interested and motivated, you can go over and check that out. I'm sure you can Google it. The Night Dive YouTube podcast talking about The Thing. The only other thing to mention here in the housekeeping section is that Darkest Dungeon 2 is coming to the Switch on July 15th, along with some DLC. I don't know if it's all the DLC, but I know it's coming with some DLC. Now, Darkest Dungeon, one of my all-time favorite games of all time. Had a blast with that game. I did everything in that game, beat all the bosses, collected all the items, recruited all the characters. I even, I did all the DLC. And then after I got done with all that, I kept grinding in that game, and I made like $1 million just for fun, just because I could, because I really enjoyed the game that much. That is like a once in a blue moon situation for me, that I like a game so much that I just keep playing and keep playing and keep playing. And at the time, one thing that was really conducive to that was that I played it on the Switch. And so that became my nighttime right before bed game for like 6 months straight, where I just played a couple levels before bed every night, and that just kept me going. Now, I will say that port of the original game to the Switch wasn't perfect. It was really small. Some of the map functions weren't great. I mean, it was a good thing to have on a portable because you could just do like a run, and the graphics were big enough that you could play it effectively. But there were problems. Like, there were some adaptation I had to do, some things that I needed to just kind of bite my lip about and just power through, because the core game was so good. So I am excited that Darkest Dungeon 2 is going to be coming to consoles. I believe it's going to eventually come to all of them. But I gotta be honest, and I gotta say, I don't think I'll be up for this on the Switch again, unless I get like some really concrete evidence that this is a solid system to play it on. I know there's more elements to it. I think there's like a 3D like carriage driving section to it. I'm concerned the graphics are going to be too small. I'm concerned the map might not work as well. So I mean, I'm really excited for this game. I want to be clear about that. I definitely going to play it. I'm really stoked. But I think this might be when I just jump to one of the bigger consoles, PlayStation or Xbox, because I just want the full good experience. I don't want to have to make sacrifices. I don't want to have to squint really hard to be able to see some text and all that kind of thing. So genuinely excited they're finally getting around to having it on consoles. It's been on PC for a while. But I don't know that Switch is going to be the home for this game for me. But it's coming out, and if you're excited on the Switch, it's coming soon. Looks like another, I don't know, a little bit less than a month, 3 weeks or something like that, 4 weeks, whatever. So that's good news, but I think I'm going to hold out for the big boy consoles. Anyway, all right. That is going to do it for the housekeeping section. Now, before we get to the main portion of the show, just a quick reminder, I mentioned the cost of hosting earlier. Still a thing. Internet is not free, folks, at least not if you're going to host something. So if you want to support the podcast and also support GameCritics.com, if you haven't been there, I formally invite you to go over there, check it out. We have literally 8,000 or 9,000 reviews in the archive, several thousand of those written by me before I became the active podcaster that I am today. And they go back for the last 20 years. If there's any game that's pretty notable in the last 20 years, better than average odds that we have covered it back then. And as we have always been fairly honest, well, I mean, very honest, always honest. What I mean to say is fairly critical, but also completely honest. We do give games a low score sometimes. We don't always start at 8 and work our way up. I mean, we have given games, I think the lowest game I ever gave was like a 0.5, like 0.5. And we definitely have a handful of 10s in there too. So we use the whole scale. So go ahead over to GameCritics.com, check that out. If you like that, let me know. If you like this podcast, let me know. And the best way, outside of just letting me know directly, is by kicking us a buck. So if you like what we do, you can go over to patreon.com/the So Videogames Podcast. Every little bit helps, I swear to God, with the cost of hosting and all this stuff. It would be so great to get some help. That would be amazing. And the hugest of huge thanks to all of our Patreon supporters who are already putting their money where their ears are. I super appreciate you all. You are my heroes, and I'm forever grateful, also, there is a So Video Games Discord, which any listener is welcome to join free of charge. If you would like to join up and continue the conversation after the show, just shoot me an email, and I will give you all those details. Okay, that is it for the preamble. Let's get to the main portion of the show. All right, as I do, I like to begin the main portion with the circle backs, which is where I am literally circling back to games that I have covered in the past on this podcast in greater detail. So these games in the circle back section, I'm going to just mention them. I'm going to get into them really quickly, but I'm not going to give you like the whole breakdown and all the systems analysis and all that stuff. If you want like all the full details, you can go back to an earlier episode and check those out. This is just me returning to these games to let you know that I'm still playing them, to see how they progress, to see how things are coming, give you an update. First circle back, Talos Principle II. One of my favorite games of recent years. It's about a robot in a post-apocalyptic world where every single biological human is dead and only robots remain. So it's very fascinating. It's also a puzzle game where they do lots of like, I don't know that they're necessarily environmental puzzles. I mean, they're just like large room-sized puzzles where the robot goes through and uses various devices to kind of logic their way through these things. And these puzzles are tied into the core of the story. And then there is a lot of like dialogue and discussion, philosophy. It's just a really marvelous, wonderful, combat-free experience that really gets you thinking. And especially in Talos Principle II, they talk a lot about things that we are facing right now here today. They talk about global warming and climate change, which is a very real thing, which is basically going to unalive everybody on Earth if we don't do something about it quickly. That's real information there, not a joke, not game stuff. So the robots talk about that quite a bit, and they can't understand why the humans didn't do anything to save their environment. Agree! Fully agree. I don't know why we're not doing more. I mean, I kind of do, but regardless. So there's that. They do lots of philosophy about what it means to be human, transhumanism, all that. It's really great. I came back to it after putting on pause for a while, and I'm trying to do just like a couple puzzles a day. If there was one complaint I would level against this game, and it's not necessarily a complaint, but it's like, it's pretty long. There's like 12 main real world section. Each section of those 12 has 8 base puzzles, and then I believe 3 bonus puzzles. And then once you get past those, there's a whole other bonus section that I haven't unlocked yet. I'm not sure how many is in there. And then beyond that, there's another central location that you can go to, and that has even more puzzles. I'm not sure how many are there. So it's like a lot. And I am I'm a fairly sharp guy, I would say. And I understand this game really well, but some of these puzzles are real mind melters, man. There are puzzles. There's also meta puzzles, which are even tougher. And I would say that in each level, I get through at least about 6 or 7 of them on my own, just by trial and error, working them through, process of elimination, But there's always a couple that I'm just like, fuck it, dude. I can't figure this out. So I always end up like YouTubing a couple and just kind of get the answer real quick on some of those. But even so, it takes a while to get through those. So it's a pretty big time commitment. But I'm happy to do it. So I'm still churning through a couple puzzles a day. Just got through. I'm exactly now at the 50% point. I've finished 6 of the 12 main areas, 100%. And I have the other half of the game to go, plus all the bonus stuff. So still really digging it. Still really like it a lot. It's not something I can play like for like 9 hours a day, but 2, 3, 4 puzzles a day. And then I'm like, good. And then I come back the next day. So definite thumbs up. I really, really enjoy this. I think it's a really wonderful sci-fi story. Great sci-fi experience. I think it would make a wonderful movie, or even if they cut it in half and just made it a quicker play, I think it would be just as powerful. So I don't mean that to sound churlish or like I'm really complaining, because I'm not, but it is a pretty long play. So Talos Principle II, I definitely want to roll credits on this. I'm so curious to see what it's going to wrap up with. I just can't wait to see. So, okay, there's that. Next, is it a circle back? It's not really a circle back, is it? I was going to call it a circle back, but I guess Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree. No, I haven't talked about it before. I guess it's not actually circle back. So that was my one. Let's move on to new games. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, informal, impromptu, transition. There you go. Now I'm into the new section of the new games. Yay! And I'm talking about Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree. I wasn't even sure I was going to talk about this at all. But friend of the show, J Monster, seemed very excited about it. And a couple other folks asked me about it. And so I figured, okay, what the hell? Okay. Fine. You win. Shadow of the Erd Tree. Okay, I'm not going to get like super deep into this because let me back up a little bit. So full disclosure, I'm just not excited to play Shadow of the Erd Tree right now. I'm just not in the mood for it. I'm certainly not an anti-Souls person. I think I've played and finished all the Souls games. In fact, I'm a From fan from way back in the day. I played all of the Kingsfield games that are released in America, and I finished all those too. So like I even played some of their non-combat games. They put out some puzzle games. They put out some random shit back in the day. If you don't believe me, go back and check lists of PlayStation 1 games. You'll see From did a bunch of other stuff on PlayStation 1 and 2 that had nothing to do with Souls whatsoever. A lot of people only know them for their Souls content, but they were a company for a long time before they put out Souls. They put out lots of stuff. I think they also put out some games under the ASCII label, like back in the day on PlayStation 1. I think those were the Kingsfield days, I believe. So I'm definitely not a From hater. No, couldn't be further from the truth. And as far as Elden Ring goes, I mean, I liked it just fine. I played it. I played the whole game with my wife as much as we could do in co-op. Beat all the bosses, beat Millennia, I did like literally everything in the game. Like as much as you could do, I did. So I definitely put my time in. But for some reason, I'm like okay with that. Like I'm fine. I'm like, I played Elden Ring. It was good. I don't necessarily want to like revisit that. I'm fine. I'm fine to move on. But here's Shadow of the Erd Tree. And I guess this is the only From content we're going to get for a while. So cool. But on top of that, my wife was like super fucking excited. She is also a giant Souls fan. And you wouldn't have noted it at the beginning because when we first got together and she told me she was into video games, I mean, number one, I was impressed because back in my day, back then, it was pretty rare to meet girls who played video games, let alone confess to it. Not nearly as commonplace as it is today. So if you're a person out there who likes girls who play games, you do not even know how easy you've got it these days because your options are way larger, more expansive, more to choose from. I mean, it's just like it's a whole different world. But when I was coming up and when I was looking for some female companionship, finding a girl that played games was quite tough. Anyway, so she said she played games, and at the time she only played like platformers. That was all she liked to play, platformers and maybe like a puzzle game. So over the years, I've exposed her to other genres, and some have clicked, some have not. She does not like visual novels. She does not like RPGs, but she does like action. And she's definitely into Souls for sure. I believe she's beaten all of the Souls games, I think. I'm pretty sure she has completed all of them, I believe. And so we went through all of Elden Ring together. We finished all the bosses. I beat Millennia, then she beat Millennia. We gave each other backup on these battles, and we did it's just everything. And she was way more excited to get back into Souls than I was. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's not like I'm anti-Souls. I just wasn't like in the mood for this right now, but I will definitely be your +1 and let's go through it. So we purchased Shadow of the Erd Tree and we downloaded it. We jumped in yesterday, was the very first day. So if you're looking for like a retrospective, now that I've completed it, here's my complete thoughts. No, man. It's going to take a while because we go through an area, like one of us will be the primary player. The other one will be like the summon spirit. We'll go through, I don't know, like 2-3 bonfires, and then we'll stop, and then we'll switch, and then the other person will be the primary, the other person will be the ghost, and then we go back and cover the same area so we both have the same items, and we've activated the same bonfires, etc., etc., etc. So we essentially go through each area like twice, one for me, one for her, or vice versa, and then so that takes us already like a little bit longer to get through than other people, and then we're not like in any rush. I mean, we're not like mainlining anything. We're not like, staying up super late or anything. We're playing it when we have time because we're parents and we have jobs, etc., etc. So it'll take a while before we get through it, but we will get through it. But I can give you some really early feedback. I mean, we both had saves that were ready to go. We just jumped right in. For those that don't know, I'm sure you do know, but if you don't know, you access the DLC by beating Moog, the Lord of Blood, who I'm pretty sure is a bonus boss. I don't think you even need to beat him to beat the game. I'm pretty sure he's just side stuff if you want to do everything. And we did everything. We both had already beaten him like a long time, like 2 years ago, whenever Elden Ring dropped. And so we just went straight to the area. You touch the cocoon thing that's in Moog's room, and then you get warped to this new DLC. Now, number one, talk about anticlimactic. I was like, ooh, maybe we're going to get a cool cutscene or I don't know, some interesting story bit to kind of announce what's going on or whatever. Nope. You just touch that fucking cocoon and you're there. That's it. No pomp, no circumstance. It was honestly super underwhelming. I'm like, is this it? Really? Oh man. Okay, whatever. So you get there and then you go through this little hallway and then you're in the new world. They give you like that little Fallout person emerging from a bunker kind of vista view at first, and it's like this rolling plain with like a cajillion tombstones on it. I mean, whatever, it's fine. So it's fine. It's Elden Ring. It's more Elden Ring. It looks just like Elden Ring, which is fine. It's DLC, right? I mean, it's not a new game. It's you gotta like temper your expectations, and it is more Elden Ring. We played, I don't know, a couple hours of it, I think. We just kind of walked around a little bit. We killed some guys. We got to the first boss guy that you're likely to meet because he's very, very close to the starting point. Clearly, this was a joke played by FromSoft. One of those things where it's like, oh, this is a guy you're supposed to come back and beat later. The Everjail Knight or something like that. Like, it's like super close to the beginning. If you start the DLC, you like go straight, take a left. He's like right there in this little downstairs catacomb thing. He is cheap. He's a cheap motherfucker. And it's weird. I don't know what's going on here, but whenever my wife is playing, when she is the primary player and I'm the backup player, I swear to God, things are different for her than they are for me, because we got to the Black Knight or the Black Jail, whatever, the night guy, the very first guy. And a lot of people are saying he's like crazy hard and all this stuff. And like, I mean, he is hard. He's hard because he's cheap. He's not hard because he's really hard. For example, I'm a magic user and I feel like Erd Tree is kind of designed to nerf magic because a lot of my old tricks don't work. A lot of enemies are just really cheaply like dodging magic all the time, which they didn't used to do. And the Everjail guy or Black Jail or whatever the fuck his name is, like he would cancel animations to get out of the way of my magic spells, which is bullshit. Because, Elden Ring and basically all of the Dark Souls combat is about observing an enemy, learning their patterns, waiting till they commit to something, and then striking when there's an opening. That is what fucking Dark Souls combat is about. Like, that is the foundation of it. And so this guy, he'd be in the middle of an animation. He'd be going after my wife, trying to hit her with a sword or something. And he'd be in the middle of a swing. I would shoot my, magic missile or whatnot, and he would cancel out of his animation and dodge it. He would dodge like 10 of them in a row. And I'm like, dude, fuck this. Like, he's way too fast. And I feel like he's almost cheating the rules of what Dark Souls combat should be. So that was just irritating. And he hits really hard. But it's funny because we got there. My wife was the primary. I was the backup. We killed him second try. Like, I'm like, okay, that guy sucked, but whatever, fine. And then we switched. And then when I was a primary player, it took us like 15 tries because he kept dodging all my magic. And he just seemed harder for some reason. Same thing when we went to this other location where there was like this burned out mansion. It's totally a no big deal location. It's like a little burned out house. You walk around, climb up some stairs, get a couple items. It's like nothing. It's nothing. And when we were there with my wife as a primary player, it was like not even a thing. Like we were yawning going through it. Like we picked up a couple items, whatever. We switch. And like we both almost died when I was a primary. I'm like, what is going on? We fucking hoovered this place and didn't even blink the first time. And when I came back, it was like everybody was like twice as hard. And I don't know if it's my imagination or if the game scales differently with me being a magic user because my wife is a strength user. I'm like, what is happening? Because it definitely feels like we are having two fucking different experiences. And mine is much harder and I don't know what is going on. So anyway, there's that. There's also a new level up system for the game because I guess the developers had to be able to accommodate a wide range of players and make sure that it was challenging for everybody. So whatever level you are in the main game, when you get there, you will be that same level, but it's kind of different. I think the power scales differently and you have to find these items called Tree fragments. Another nonsense name. You pick up these fragments. I believe you can have up to 20 total, I think. But every time you pick up one, it increases your attack and defense by 5%, but only in the DLC. So you're not going to be that much tougher when you go back to the main game. So in order to kind of level the playing field for everybody when they get to the DLC, you know, whether you're level 100 or 200 or 500 or whatever, you need to get these Tree fragments in order to make yourself tougher to survive in the Erd Tree area. And it's definitely necessary. A lot of these enemies hit real hard. Like when the Black Jail guy was hitting me, it was like one hit was 50% of my life bar. And I was absolutely not used to that. People did not hit that hard in the main game. So that's something to keep in mind. You got to search around for these items, encouraging exploration. That's fine. Otherwise, I mean, it's just Elden Ring, man. It just feels like the same thing. And if you want more of that, that's what it is. It's not bad at all. I think I'm just not in the mood for it right now, but, there it is. There's more. And I guess I'm going to be playing the whole thing with my wife. So I guess I got 50 hours of that ahead of me. And then, we'll see what happens. I'll report back, as it goes on. Oh, I didn't even say the most important and irritating thing about the whole debacle. Can't believe I almost forgot. So when we were starting this new generation, my family had to decide, were we going to be a PlayStation family again? Or were we going to be a Xbox family? And at the time, Game Pass was coming out and all this stuff. We went Xbox. I think a lot of it too was because we couldn't even get PlayStations when they dropped. If you remember how hard they were to come by and how crazy it was going on eBay. But Xboxes were fairly easy to get at that time, at least comparatively. So we all went Xbox. We became an Xbox family. And so I got Elden Ring on Xbox so I could play with my son and my wife. We all have our Xboxes. And when we got the PR offer for Elden Ring from Namco Bandai, they were like, hey, do you want to review this? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, well, can we get, 2 copies? Can I get one for the written review, which we gave to Mike Susky? He covered it for us on PC, I believe. And I'm like, well, if you can spare one, if you got an extra, I would love to play an Xbox, and I'll talk about it here in the podcast if you wish. And they're like, yeah, maybe not. We don't know, but give us your Xbox information. Now, if you don't know, they don't do this for PlayStation and they don't do this for PC. Well, they sometimes do it for PC, but in a different way. But this is really, the Xbox is really the only one that kind of does this thing where for games that are under like a lot of scrutiny, when the developer or publisher wants to really like lock it down and prevent any leaks and prevent any, pre-embargo slippage or whatever, they will ask you for your Xbox console identification, which means there's a unique identifying number in your Xbox. They also ask for your gamer tag name so they know specifically which Xbox you're on and what your name is. They have access to various data once they have that. And so I'm like, well, I don't really like to give that out, but if there's a chance I can do Erd Tree for free and save $40, then I guess it's worth it. So I sent them my info and I'm like, well, if you have an extra code, send it to me. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. They later on said, yeah, we ain't got an extra, so too bad. And I'm like, okay, fine. No worries. I'll just buy it. But what happened was they took my console ID info and my gamer tag and they put it on their embargoed list as if they were going to give me a code, which they didn't. And then they locked the functions of Elden Ring for me. I could not go online with my fucking game anymore. I couldn't do any multiplayer. And so they didn't send me a code. I was under embargo stipulations despite not ever getting the code. And then I couldn't do any co-op. And the problem with this was I was going to do co-op with my son because he had not beaten Moog yet. He was not ready for the DLC, and we were planning on working on it as a family. So I'm like, well, let's get our son to this point, and then when the DLC drops, we'll just buy it, we'll start. But I couldn't. I was locked out because PR at Namco Bandai, hand in hand with Microsoft, had blocked off my console functions, and I did not fucking appreciate it. I once I realized what had happened, I got in touch with PR and I'm like, yo, you guys have fucking blocked my ass and you never fucking sent me a code, so I don't have any embargo to adhere to. Can you please unblock my console? And they didn't. They kind of just fobbed me off, and like I emailed them a couple times and be like, yo, can you fucking please unblock my goddamn console? Because this sucks. I can't play with my family. I didn't agree that you guys could shut off my functions. You didn't even warn me this was going to happen, because I would have done it if I'd known it was happening. Nothing. Just stonewall. They didn't respond at all. I think they owe me a fucking apology. And at the very least, they could have sent me a fucking code to make up for it, but they didn't. So I'm feeling pretty fucking salty about that. I don't appreciate that. And it really was very disempowering and very frustrating to have this console that I fucking paid for with my good hard-earned money in my own fucking home using internet that I fucking pay for. Someone else is like taking control of that console and telling me what I can and can't do. That was extremely disappointing and frustrating and maddening. Did not appreciate one bit. And I was really kind of cheesed off that PR didn't like get around to fixing it. I just got lumped in with everybody else, even though I didn't get a code, and my console did not get back to normal until the day that the code released. So, and they didn't even say sorry. So I guess fuck off. That was really, a bitter experience. Wasted whole, I don't know, like a week or whatever that I could have been playing with my family and I didn't. And the worst part was like, one of those days was Juneteenth, which is a federal holiday here in America. And so the wife and I were planning to play Elden Ring all day with the son. Like we had the day off from work and we were going to just chill, have some pizza, play some game. And like, I couldn't join. I was locked out because of fucking Namco Bandai. So again, fuck off. That was bullshit. I don't appreciate it. And I don't care what is offered in the future. I will not be offering my console ID nor my gamer tag to anybody in the future because I just don't want to have that experience happen again. So did not appreciate it. And if you didn't know that was a possibility, that is a possibility. So I guess, I don't know if the other consoles can do that as well, but Microsoft can sure fucking do it. So boo on you. All right. That is Elden Ring. Fuck. Moving on. Okay, brand new game to talk about. Glyphs of Gitzan, Gitzan. I was sent a code for this by the publisher. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. This is a 2D pixel-based puzzle game on the Nintendo Switch, which is where I played it. I think it's a great fit for the Switch. Runs well, no problems whatsoever. This is a game that doesn't have a lot to it, which is a shame, because I feel like the core idea is pretty good. Basically, you are like a character. There's like some script at the beginning about, oh, people want to solve these puzzles because you get granted great power or blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't matter. The story has literally no impact on gameplay whatsoever. But you play this like little 2D pixel character and you get inside these single screen puzzles where there's like these little tracks or something laid on the ground. And then you have these pillars. And you can push the pillars. The pillars have little markings on the side of them, and they show you what they will do for you. So what happens is when you push one of these pillars onto the intersection between two tracks on the ground, it lights up. And it will light up in the shape that is carved into the pillar. So for example, if you have a pillar that has a cross shape, like a plus sign, and you bring that pillar to a series of tracks that are also in the shape of a plus sign, it'll light the whole thing up. But you have to realize if you bring that pillar to something that is not in the shape of a plus sign, if you bring it to like an L shape or a C shape or something, it still activates in a plus shape so that it doesn't fit. The goal of each puzzle is to light up all the tracks, and the only way you can do this is by looking at all the pillars, looking at the sigils on the side of the pillars, and realizing which sigil goes where in the right order, and then you want to light up all the tracks. Once they're placed correctly, they all light up, and then you move on to the next puzzle. I'm sorry if that is confusing. It's actually quite simple once you play it in the game. Once you see what's happening, it's very easy to grasp. It takes you like 2 seconds to figure out what's going on, and then you get to play. I think it looks fine. I think the puzzle premise is great. I haven't really played anything exactly like this before, so a new spin on puzzling is nice. But that's all there really is to it. I think there's like 60 puzzles or something. It's one of those games where we can see from the start screen how many puzzles there are, unless something gets unlocked later, I don't know. But you're like, you're in for like 60 of these puzzles, which is fine, but like there's no real story progression. There's no cutscenes. And honestly, the gameplay doesn't really evolve very much. I think there's like one or two complications that happen once you get like 20 puzzles in, but it's basically just like doing the same thing over and over and over, just with different variations of the puzzle. Sometimes your pillars are in a C shape, sometimes they're in a cross shape, sometimes they're in a square shape or whatever. And so, they get incrementally harder as you go, but like you're still kind of doing the same thing. There's not enough to change it up, not enough to give it some freshness or to make it feel like a more complete package. There's nothing really to unlock as far as I know. There's no bonuses. There's no spin. There's no action to it. There's no monsters. It's just like do these puzzles 50 or 60 or whatever times in a row, and then you're done, basically. I did not finish it. I got maybe halfway. And I kept waiting for the formula to get some iteration or some variety to it. And as far as I got, there was nothing really. So that was kind of disappointing. Oh, spikes pop up sometimes in the ground. So you have to watch out that you're pushing the pillars around the spikes and you don't get hit by the spikes. I mean, that is an extremely minor variation on this formula. It doesn't even really count as a variation. It's just like a little added danger, and you're basically doing the exact same thing, which was kind of disappointing. I think it's a good premise, but this feels like a game jam game that really needs like another year of development, or, to add story, to add character customization, to add, bonus QTE games, or in-game economy, or I don't know, something to kind of change it up a little bit. So I like it, and I had fun doing, I don't know, half the game that I played, but after a while I was like, okay, I get it, and this isn't changing enough, and I'm kind of getting bored of it now, and I wish that something would happen to make this fresh, because it kind of got stale. So I think that's probably just all it is. I think it's just a real simple, real straightforward, real small game, which isn't bad. It just kind of feels incomplete, and I wish there was more to it. So Glyphs of Gitzan, playing it on the Switch, and I think it's a great fit for the Switch. No problems in terms of technical or performance there. Next game, Moonstone Island. I had a couple people ask me if I was going to cover this, and yes, I'm covering it right now. This is a 2D pixel-based game, and did I play this on the Switch? Maybe I did. I can't remember. It all's kind of blending together for me. Was sent a code from the publisher. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I guess I should look it up. Okay, hold on. Let me look it up. Yes, confirmed. It was the Switch. So you might remember a little while ago that I mentioned I was going to play Stardew or Graveyard Keeper. I chose Graveyard. The wife chose Stardew. We're going to switch eventually. So this is another one of those games that I'm not sure that I have room in my life for, but I think it's actually really well done. I liked it a lot. I just need to be very judicious with my farm sim energy, because I only have a limited amount of that, I think. But Moonstone Island is basically this big conglomeration of many things. It's like farming, it's dating, it's fishing, it's crafting, it's Pokemon. There's a couple other things in there as well. There's some craft. Did I say crafting? Did I say crafting? Yes, I said crafting. It's a lot of stuff. It's like everything that you want, like in a cozy game, all kind of wrapped up into one. And I gotta say, I think it's really well done. I think the graphics are really cute and nice. I think that the tutorials work really well. I think they introduce their systems in a good pace. I think, the controls feel good. The graphics feel good. I think that it would be very interesting. You start the game off by getting to this town. You are a alchemist of sorts. And so you leave home, and you have to spend 1 year away from home as part of your final journey to becoming a full-fledged alchemist. So I kind of like the premise. I think the premise is kind of neat. Person coming of age, and then you got to go away from home, go on like a journey, go on an experience on your own to practice your independence, your self-sufficiency, and so forth and so on. Great premise. I love the premise. So you hop on this magical broom, and you take off into the sky. It looks like the world is made up of the islands that float in the sky. And something happens, and you crash your broom. Your broom busts up in like a jillion pieces, and then you're stranded on this new island. And then you have to make friends with the people who are there, because this is where you're going to be spending your next year, basically. So you get to the town that's nearby, you introduce yourself to people, and right from the get-go, everybody is like super cute in a sexy time way. I don't think there's any sex in this game. I would be shocked if there was. But there's definitely romance, because the first time you talk to a person, you have the option to just talk to them, but then it's like talk, joke, flirt, and ask for a date from the get-go. And since you don't know these people, your success on any of these things is very low. Like Like if you want to choose the date option, it'll tell you chance of success, and it's like 1% or something like that. But if you want to just talk, then it's like 70% chance. Like you can successfully talk to this person before they get pissed off at you or something. So these little bars fill up depending on how often you talk to people, and you want to clearly fill them up as much as you can before you move on to the other options. So there's that thing from the beginning. You talk to local scholar who wants you to capture some animals in the Pokemon system. When you come back, he'll give you some stuff that you can craft and build and kind of keep going up your skill tree for that. There's a local blacksmith who says, hey, if you find me some copper by scouring the world for it, and it's easy to find, then I will give you some blueprints. You can start crafting some stuff over here. I mean, so basically like every artisan in town is like, hey, here's some stuff you can do. If you find me the basic steps, I will teach you how to advance. You have your own little house that you can set up and decorate it as you wish. You can talk to folks, and it seems like it's not, what am I saying? It's not straight locked in the sense that you don't have to like only date boys if you're a girl or vice versa. Or in fact, now that I think about it, I feel like my character was gender neutral, and the people you meet in town they look male presenting and female presenting, but I'm pretty sure you can date anybody you wish. I don't think there's any barrier to that. So I think that's really cool and forward looking and flexible, which I appreciate. And you can do all sorts of stuff. You get lots of tools. You get lots of like different windows that have different things on them. You can harvest plants. You can plant plants. You can collect seeds. You can capture Pokemon. You can do some mining, do some fishing. You know, like it's just basically like every cozy game wrapped up all in one. But it works. So here's the thing, right? I have played several of these before, and I'm not really like in the market for one right now because I've already got that kind of like space mapped out of my mind already. But I would say that if you haven't burned out on these, if you haven't played one of these yet, and you want something to play on the Switch, this feels like a very good one to get into. Like if you want like the buffet sample plate of like all the cozy games, I feel like Moonstone Island has literally everything that you would want in it. All sorts of stuff. I mean, everything to suit every kind of cozy game player. And it just is really well polished, feels really well put together, feels balanced. It feels like, you know, you've got lots of stuff to do at any time, but there's no pressure. I just think it's really great. I mean, I'm not in the market to spend a bunch of time and to get, you know, sunk into something like this right now, but I really appreciate what they've done. I think it seems like a really nice package, and I would easily recommend it to somebody who is in the market for one of these and maybe doesn't know which one to choose if they haven't already picked one out. And if you're not too tired of them, I think this is a great one. So pretty positive on this. I think I may recommend it to my wife because she's always looking for something like this. And she hasn't played one since the original Stardew, so she's probably due for one. But, you know, I think this is a great recommendation. I think it's a good game. Looks very entertaining. I liked the hours that I put into it. Zero complaints, basically. I think it's a winner. Just not for me at this moment, but it still is definitely a winner. So there you go. That is Moonstone Island, playing it on the Switch. Definitely a thumbs up. Definitely check it out, for sure. All right, next up is Wartales and the associated DLC. Again, was sent a code from the publisher. Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. This is what is it? It is a PC style open RPG, and I don't even quite know how to describe it. Basically, it's seen from a isometric perspective-ish, and you start the game by getting a group of warriors. You can kind of customize them. I did not see any options for female characters. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see anything there. That doesn't mean that they're not there. They might be. But there's kind of a lot to get through. You pick a group of warriors, you pick your difficulty, and then you get dropped into this world, and like you're just there all of a sudden. There's not really a lot of preamble. There's not a lot of direction, almost no tutorials. You just are like in this world where you have this group of warriors, and they are just like do stuff, which is a really terrible way to start the game. I was kind of looking around at my characters, trying to figure out what was going on. Again, like no tutorial, no real direction. So I just start walking, and I get to this tavern, and it's like, or this horse guy, farrier, and he's like, "Oh, here's buy a horse. Would you like to buy a horse?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Do I? I just literally started the game 30 seconds ago. Do I need a horse? Do I have a horse? maybe I have a horse. I'm not sure that I do. And then he's like, okay, bye, whatever. And I leave and I see like a little side quest going on at the guy I just left. I'm like, well, that's weird. I don't remember him asking me to go kill 12 rats or anything. So I went back and he just says the same thing. Do you want to buy a horse? And I'm like, is buying the horse the side quest? And I think that it was. So I was like, oh, that's not much of a side quest. I don't think I want to buy a horse. So I just kept walking. And then we get into a battle of like some wolves that were walking the forest. Again, this is just like, it feels just so random. Like I'm dropped in the middle of this thing and I don't even know anything about it. I don't quite know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't really know how the systems work. I'm just controlling this little group of characters in an overworld, and then we hit some wolves and then zooms in and we do some turn-based combat, which looks, kind of tactical, grid-based kind of stuff. Looks pretty standard for, par for the course. You have your sword users. I had a bow user. We just kind of like turn by turn, get close to the wolves, do some combat. I mean, it feels fine, I guess. There's nothing notable, but nothing really bad about it either. I mean, the combat was okay. Then we kill the wolves and get back to the world. And then I'm just wandering around and I'm like, what am I even doing? Like, what is happening? I have no drive. I have no quest. I'm not sure what's what's my goals here. I just wander around for a little bit. I meet these people on the road and they're just like, we're hungry. Give us some bread. And I'm like, well, do I have bread? I don't know that I even have bread. I click yes. Apparently I had some bread. I gave them some bread. They went off. Thanks. Okay, cool. And then I meet some bandits and they're like, give us $100. And I'm like, I won't. Let's fight. And I fought and killed them. And that was cool. But I just like, what's happening? Like, I don't even know. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, man, your guys are real tired. They're going to like revolt, mutiny if you don't feed them and rest them. I'm like, well, okay. I mean, fine. But I wish you had explained this to me. I wish I'd known something about it. Like, it's one of those games that feels like a framework of stuff to do with lots of options and little direction. It feels like something that is made for people who are already very familiar with this type of game and just want the ability to fuck around and do whatever they want and just kind of, I don't know, just like be in these systems, I guess. Like, I need some narration. I need some characters. I at least need a basic premise to start from. Like, plopping me in the world and like saying nothing, just go for it is like super not getting the job done, like whatsoever. So I fucked around with it a little bit more. Just, tried to level up my guys, and the leveling up didn't quite seem to make sense because I had ability points after killing the wolves and the bandits, but I could only put them into like 3 out of my stats, and I had more stats than that. I had like 8 or 10 stats, but they could only go into like certain stats. I'm like, well, why is that happening? And I got to this tavern that I'm kind of just clicking on, and there's like a guy inside, and he's like, oh, would you like to recruit me? And I'm like, I mean, maybe, I guess. And I click on the guy, and it's like, this guy is a vegetarian. He will not be happy unless he gets a fresh fruit or vegetable with each meal. And I'm like, dude, what? I'm like, no, I don't want to mess with that. That seems like so much work, and I don't even know what the basic premise of this game is. I don't even know what's happening. And I got to worry about this guy's fucking eating habits. He's a grown-ass man. He can take care of that himself. I don't want to be responsible for that. So, I mean, honestly, this feels like a framework. It feels like assets. It feels like a very basic structure that you would go into and do stuff with and just walk around with. And I just don't get it, man. Like, I just don't know how I'm supposed to get into this. I don't know how they're supposed to interest me or get me to care about these characters or anything. It just felt like increase your stats by clicking on these random events and just be in this world and spend some time. And I'm like, no fucking thanks. Like, no, there's like 1,000 games I can pick from right now. There's 1,000 games I could be playing right now. I need you to make a little bit more effort in order to get me into this and to get me started. So I guess, I don't know, if you're like a PC RPG person and all you care about is like systems and stats and equipment, and you don't give a shit about story and you don't give a shit about anything else, then maybe this is for you. I guess I'm just not sure who this is for. It just feels very unfinished, very raw, very unpolished. It feels like I got into an early access game and somebody's like, here's all the systems that we're doing, but we don't have any of the story in yet. We don't have any of the cutscenes or characters, and we don't have any of the quests, but here's what the combat's going to look like, and here's what the world is going to look like. And that's the feeling that I get. It just feels like it's just this thing that was plopped in front of me with like no fanfare, and I'm just like, nah, no, this ain't happening. So I mean, if there was a story, if there was direction, if there was a quest that was going on, maybe it would be okay. But like, as it is, no, I don't need a framework of assets for me to spend some time in. No, my time is too valuable for that. So that was a big miss for Wartales, and I believe it has 2 DLCs that go along with it. Yeah, pass. Hard pass. Again, if you're a PC hardcore, maybe, but for me, hard pass. Okay. All right, last new game of the show, and this is one that actually was mentioned in the Nintendo Direct that I talked about earlier. Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. I was surprised by this. I knew that there was a Metal Slug turn-based tactics game coming, which I'm quite excited about because I am a Metal Slug fan and I'm also a turn-based tactics fan. So putting 2 things together, 2 great tastes that taste great together, chocolate and peanut butter type situation. Yes, let's please do that. But this is not that one. This is something completely different that I did not see coming. This is, I guess, a 2D tower defense. Is that even the right way to describe this? I don't know, because I usually think of tower defense as something slightly different than this, but I guess it's appropriate. If anybody's familiar with Battle Cats that came out on iOS a couple years ago, or probably several years ago by now, that game really took the world by storm for like a hot minute, where you basically have all these random cats that are in these weird shapes and weird types: samurai cat, toaster cat, rocket cat, legs cat, whatever, face cat, all this other stuff. You have a base on the left, enemy base is on the right, and then you have this little timer that clicks up, and whenever you have enough points in your timer, you can buy a cat, and then whatever cat you buy will just walk from left to right to attack the other base. The other base is also sending cats your way, and whoever can resource grind the fastest is the winner. That was a really fun game for a hot minute back in the day, and this is exactly the same formula. In this game, Metal Slug Attack Reloaded, you have the classic Metal Slug 2D hyper animation. The animation looks great. If you like Metal Slug, you know what Metal Slug looks like. This is that. I love all the characters, all the animation. If you're familiar with the series, you're going to see like a hojillion returning faces that you know. Probably a lot that you don't know either. I mean, there's some of these that I didn't recognize, and I thought I'd played all the Metal Slug games, but apparently not. So you have all the core cast of characters, and then you have the tanks and the vehicles. You have some enemy characters. And so what happens is you start the game in this 2D situation. Your base is on the left, enemy base is on the right. You have a timer that clicks up at a slow pace, and when you have enough numbers on the timer, you hit the button, and then whatever guy you can afford will pop out of your base and start walking from left to right. So let's say you have 30 clicks on the counter. The basic soldier costs 30. Hit the button, boom, you got a basic soldier. He walks from left to right. When he's walking, it's not strictly passive. He'll walk, but you can also hit a button to have him do a special attack. He'll do a regular attack on his own whenever he encounters an enemy, but you can also push a button at your own discretion, and you can push the button for one soldier or for all your soldiers at the same time, which is helpful. And he'll do a special attack. So the first guy comes out, he's got a knife attack. When he gets close to anybody, he knifes somebody, and he can also throw a grenade for a special attack. And you have other soldiers too. You got all the basic Metal Slug guys like Marco and God, what's her name? Ray, I think. Theo, a couple of, whatever. The Metal Slug cast, they're all here. So you can have this group of characters. Everybody costs more. Like the basic guy is 30. The next guy up costs like 90. The next guy up costs 150 or something like that. And you can also, instead of putting out a soldier, you can take those resources and make your timer go faster. So if you skip the first couple of soldiers, be like, these guys are kind of weak. I think I'm going to wait a second. I'm going to save up this 30 and then let it count to 60. Then it counts to 90 or whatever. When it hits a certain threshold, you can put that money into your counter, and the counter will start clicking faster. So if you want to get more resources faster, you skip a couple turns and instead you put it into your timer, and it just goes really, really fast. The numbers start spinning like crazy. So then you can start clicking out more soldiers more quickly and kind of swarm the other enemy. There's all sorts of troops. There's the tanks, and you have like this giant mosquito that eats guys. There's mummies and zombies. There's the ostrich with the rocket launchers attached to it. There's the machine gun guys. I mean, there's all sorts of little troops. And so there's a lot of elements to this game as well. And in fact, I almost think there's perhaps too many elements to this, where once you get through the combat a couple times, it starts introducing you to the other systems. And a lot of this game is kind of like a gacha system. Now, this is not real money. I want to be very clear. They're not asking you for no microtransactions. There's no real money. Once you get the game, that's all there is. There's nothing else to buy. So don't worry about that. But you do have in-game currency. Every time you beat a battle, you'll have these game bucks, and you can go to this gacha machine, and you get like random troops to add to your army. So you'll get a lot of doubles, which is kind of a bummer, and it kind of sucks to like have to just kind of gamble your winnings away. But you kind of slowly build your army. Sometimes you get brand new tank or brand new soldier, brand new monster, whatever. You can add it. You can, of course, modify which troops you bring to each battle. Some are better than others. Some are flying, some are walking, some are shielding, some have lasers, some have knives, whatever. So you kind of go through this gacha element, and then you go through these various levels of where you just kind of do this 2D tower defense combat. It's pretty fun and pretty basic, but like it's kind of addicting where you just kind of like start watching the counters tick, and you want to like, it's like race to do DPS, I guess, as fast as you can, which is pretty cool. I will say I did run into some trouble though, like as the game progressed. There is a story mode, and the story is just like, it's tedious, man. So luckily that you skip it, that's fine. So I skipped all the story, but at a certain point they want you to diverge from the main campaign and then do this other side campaign. And that part I wasn't cool with. I wouldn't mind it if it was like a bonus level or a bonus mode or something. I just wanted to play the main campaign and keep pushing forward. But what happened was they let you get so far, then you have to do this other campaign, and you're only limited to specific types of characters. So for the first campaign, you can only use the good guy army. And for the second campaign, you can only use like the alien army. And for the third campaign, you can only use like the undead army. And so if you haven't got enough of these guys from the gacha element, you're not going to be able to complete some of these. And so I felt like I was a little bit underpowered. I didn't have as many soldiers as I would have liked. And I also felt like you have to grind for resources too. You have to level up your guys, your basic guys, like from 1 to 10. And I think they even go higher than that once you get further. But then you also have to grind for like special items to equip to them. And then once you equip those items, I believe you can upgrade their special attack. So there's like multiple levels of like upgrade and grind, which is kind of okay. Like I actually didn't mind it that much, but it got to be like a lot after a while. I started racking up like a lot of different guys, and I was just kind of feeling a little bit overwhelmed with how much there was. But the really killer thing was just like that thing I mentioned where I had to go stop the main campaign and go do a side campaign for a while. That just kind of really killed my momentum, and I lost enthusiasm for it a little bit. So I put it down for a couple days and I got kind of frustrated, but I will come back to it. I just think that was kind of a bad move to kind of force players to go through the side content. Introduce it for sure. Like maybe do like one round just so that I know it's there. I think that's fine, but it was like requiring me to go through more than I wanted to go through, and that was kind of a bummer. So I think overall it's pretty neat. I think we don't get a lot of these, I guess 2D tower defense is what they're called. I haven't played one of these since Battle Cats on iOS. So it was a fun formula. I think it works well, and I think it is a good use of the Metal Slug assets. And it can get difficult. I was playing on the basic difficulty, and I felt like that was a pretty good challenge. I put it up to the medium difficulty, and I got I got my ass handed to me. So I think to hang in those harder difficulties, you're going to have to do quite a bit of grinding to get your troops all up to speed. So I don't know that it's going to keep me hooked for like 100 hours, and I wish they had kind of streamlined it a little bit. But overall, I think it's an attractive looking package. I think the 2D tower defense thing is pretty fun. I think this is a good use of the Metal Slug license, and it's pretty cute. And I'm going to come back to it. I'll do a couple levels tonight or something. It's on the Switch where I'm playing it. I think it's a good fit for the Switch. So overall, pretty cool. Not the home run I was hoping it would be, but definitely good enough to take a look at. And if you've never played Battle Cats, or if you've never played one of these, I think it's definitely worth a look. The systems are pretty streamlined. I think the graphics are great. It's pretty good time. So just heads up that there is some grind, there is some gacha, but again, no real world money, just in-game money. So be prepared. But overall, I feel like it's a thumbs up. I mean, not like a home run thumbs up, but it's like a thumbs up for sure. So Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. There you go. Okay. That is the game portion of the show. The new game portion of the show is officially done, but I do have a few non-game things to mention this week, as I normally do. Let's take a quick look at the script real quick here. Just a couple of movies to mention. First, I want to mention Ultraman Rising on Netflix. If you're familiar with Ultraman, tokusatsu hero from the 70s, has been in a million cartoons and movies and all sorts of IP since then. I love Ultraman. I've always loved Ultraman. I remember watching him as a kid when his TV show got brought to America, and I'm still a fan today. So this is a brand new Netflix original movie, which was kind of confusing to me because Ultraman is Japanese property, but after watching the credits, it seems like mostly like American people worked on it, which is kind of strange. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is, I guess. But basically, this is a brand new Ultraman movie. I'm not even sure what like timeline they're basing it off of. We kind of just walked into it without really needing to connect us to the other films or the other canon. We just kind of took it for what it was. But basically, the main character of this is a guy who was raised with his dad being Ultraman. So he becomes the next Ultraman when he becomes of age. He has to fight kaiju, but he's kind of frustrated because he feels like Ultraman has caused a rift in his family. He caused a lot of strife between his mom and his dad. And he feels like he didn't have the childhood that he wanted to because Ultraman was a factor. The dad had a lot of responsibility to protect, Japan from kaiju monsters. And so that prevented him from being the dad that he wanted to be. So you've got some family drama going on. And then it's complicated because one of the kaiju monsters shows up, and it turns out that some scientists have stolen the kaiju's egg because they want to turn it into their own personal kaiju monster. Things go sideways, and Ultraman ends up taking care of the baby. And so you've got some like new dad comedy happening. You've got this cute little baby monster, but then you've also got the family drama. Then you've also got some heavy stuff that later on happens. It got kind of heavy in a few spots. Not excessively so, but there was definitely a few spots where I'm like, oh, damn, I didn't think they were going to go there. And they did. But overall, we had a really good time with it. It's just a standalone movie, just a one-shot. The art is really stylized and kinetic, and I think it looks really cool. Ultraman is super cool. If you like Ultraman, this is definitely a cool use of the property. And overall, we had a good time with it. I think it ends in a good place. They leave it open for a sequel, but it's not on a cliffhanger. And we had a really good time. So Ultraman Rising is definitely good stuff if you like tokusatsu, kaiju, big monster action, anything like that. The other movie that I want to mention this week is a horror comedy. And horror comedy is very possibly my favorite genre of all movies. My wife and I both love horror comedies. We like comedies and those are fine. We like horror, but a certain type of horror. But horror comedy, we're basically up for anytime, anywhere, our favorite type of film. And we saw Slay. This is a brand new movie. It just came out recently. It's on Tubi. You can watch it for free, Tubi. Tubi's making some real moves these days. It becomes, I guess, I think it was the most watched channel over the last couple months. It's free, and they insert a couple commercials into every movie, which is kind of annoying, but it's still free. So you get all their content with, no cash out of your pocket, which is great. Slay is about 4 drag queens who are booked to perform at the wrong venue. They get there, not only is it a weird biker shithole, but also vampires show up, and then they have to like protect themselves from the vampires while also protecting themselves from the bikers. Safe to say it's not a real drag queen friendly situation at first, but then things develop as the movie goes on. It was really funny. I think it was really goofy, kind of raunchy in a few spots, but I think that was totally appropriate and fun. And I think all the queens did a great job. If you are familiar with RuPaul's Drag Race, I'm pretty sure all of these queens have been on. It's Caramel, Trinity the Tuck, Heidi N Closet, and Crystal Method. I believe they've all been on RuPaul's. Pretty sure. I haven't seen every season of RuPaul's, but I have seen a couple, and I believe I've seen a couple of these queens on there. So they were really good. It was really goofy and silly and fun, and the vampires were kind of fun, and it all just came together as just a really like, you laugh at it and stupid stuff happens and you laugh at that too, and then you see the queens dancing around these fashions and you laugh at that because it's cool. I mean, it was just really fun. It was just like a really good time, good energy. The wife and I both thought it was just fantastic. So definitely a big thumbs up to Slay. If you like horror comedies, or if you're a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, or you like drag queens, it was really good stuff. Definitely enjoyed that for sure. All right, folks, that is a show. Before the closing music, I would love to have you leave a review, share the show on social media, but most important of all, please recommend So Video Games to your friends, because nothing beats good old-fashioned word of mouth. Also, if you would like to help support the show with the cost of running the podcast and hosting the website, I guess, in fact, a couple bucks might not be bad put to that use since the podcast is hosted there. You can do that over at patreon.com/the So Video Games Podcast. If you want to join our Discord, that's now free of charge. As always, I want your questions and comments. Hit me up at sovideogamespodcast@gmail.com. You can reach me on social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. It's my name, all A's, no O's, BRADGALLAWAY. And this is going to do it for episode 3 94. Thank you so much for joining me here on the So Videogames podcast, and I'll see you next week.